Of Yossi holding a coffee cup and we're good to go.
Okay, let's go.
All right, everyone can go on mute now.
Huh?
Well, except for you, Rabbi. Don't go on mute. But everyone else is not on mute right now. No, you're good. I was making a joke. There's other people that are not muted, namely Yonatan Hagadol.
All right, let's go. I'm going to be reading in Hebrew from the PDF I sent. The Parsha Shavua Nemar Batama Sarah Kirs Abi Chevron Meretz Canaan. In the Parsha this week it says Sarah passes away in Chevron. When Mazbra Zayar Shesar Remes Aguf Avim Lasham. Zohar says that Sarah is analogous to the body and Avraham to the soul. Zeu Imar Zayar Batama Sarah. And that's the meaning of the words Sarah passes away. Shaguf Meis Bechiras Arba. The Torah says that Sarah passes away in a place that's called 4. Why is the place Sarah passes away connected to the number 4? Because a body, Amurka Ba'arbi Yasedis, Chevron. Because a body is comprised of 4 elements. And the city specifically she was in was called Chevron. Why Chevron? Because the 4 elements of the body, fire, water, wind, and earth, are attached to each other while you're alive. But when she passes away, so there's now a separation of the 4 elements, the body decays. The neshama, Avram, comes to eulogize Sarah and to cry about her passing. The soul cries after the passing of the body because even after someone passes away, the soul is still attached to the body. Now, I don't really think that Sarah Yimenu Chas Shalom, her body decays, because the Gemara says about the Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi goes to every one of the patriarchs every morning and washes their hands and prays with them. And in general, outside his body doesn't decay. But I think the Zohar is saying an allusion in general to souls and bodies, that after someone passes away, there is a separation of the 4 elements that comprise the body. So Sarah is the body, Avram is the neshama, and then the soul cries after the passing because there's an attachment of the soul to the body. So based upon this paradigm, that Sarah is the body and Avraham is the soul, so we don't understand how come the Torah says whatever Sarah tells you, you should listen to. Whatever the body you say you're supposed to listen to. Didn't we just learn a whole mimer about Isha Lakim, now he's supposed to control your nature and control your body? Here the Torah says the opposite. Sarah commands Avram, and Avram must listen. The body commands the soul, and the soul must listen. So, Oz Beis, first of all, you do a Piskam of Baal Shem Tov, you say the Akasa Kisira Chamer Sanach Gamer. It's known the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov on the verse, when you see the enemy, you see your enemy, and he has a donkey that's having a hard time with its burden. And the guy is trying to saddle the donkey and he can't. So you may not want to help him. Says the Torah, you must help him. Says Baal Shem Tov, what is this pasuk? Really, what's the deeper meaning of this pasuk? Kisira chamer, when you'll see your donkey, as we learned last week, the word chamer, the word donkey, indicates materialism. That's why in Israel, that's the number 1 word to insult someone, because a donkey is a very simple-minded animal. Right? It's not complex at all. It follows the herd. It's stubborn. When you see your materialism, you see the physicality in you, and you discover that it hates you. In the beginning of a person serving Hashem, in the beginning of life, there is a hatred between the body and the soul. And that's why it's crouching under the burden, trying to shirk off the burden. What's the burden? The burden is Amasa Il Ter Mitzvahs. The burden refers to the yoke of Torah mitzvahs. So the body that hates the soul, it wants to throw off this whole burden of Torah mitzvahs. Even though it's its own burden, which means Hashem didn't give the Torah mitzvahs for the sake of the neshama. The neshama in Gan Eden was doing okay. Hashem sent the soul to the body to elevate the body. So therefore, the burden of the donkey, the burden of the animal, is its own burden. One second. Okay, so basically, what we learned so far is like this. Abraham is compared to the soul, Sarah is compared to the body, and God tells Abraham, listen to Sarah, the soul should listen to the body. What does that mean? So we're learning this teaching of Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov says that the body hates the soul. You look at the enemy of the donkey of your enemy, says Baal Shem Tov, means you look at the physicality inside of you and you see that the physical part of yourself doesn't like the burden of Torah mitzvahs, doesn't like it, it hates it. And it wants to throw off the yoke of Torah mitzvahs. So therefore you might think that you shouldn't help the body, you should hurt it, you should fast, you should subjugate your body to pain. Even though the whole point of why Hashem sent the soul in the body is for the body to have the Torah mitzvahs. The body needs to be elevated through Torah mitzvahs. So it's really not, the donkey isn't carrying someone else's burden. The body is carrying its own burden. In the analogy, the donkey is carrying the burden of its master. But in the analog, the body, the donkey, is carrying its own burden. That's what the Torah says, it's carrying, it's trying to shirk off its own burden, what's meant for it. The mitzvahs are meant to give the body something. The Arizal was able to see, looking at someone's forehead, what mitzvah they just did. A mitzvah makes an impression, makes a change on the physical stuff that the body's made of. The intent of Hashem sending the soul to the body is to elevate the body. Despite the fact that the body has a need for Torah mitzvahs, it still considers the mitzvahs a burden. And that's why it doesn't want to do Torah mitzvahs, and it wants to cast off the burden. Milvada in the next column is Gimel. Milvada in the in addition to the fact that Hashem entrusted his mitzvahs to souls in bodies, it's only human beings who have mitzvahs. The mitzvahs themselves are physical as well. But later, mitzvahs ma'asiyos, it's not only mitzvahs that we look at, we can see their physical components that are physical, but even mitzvahs which are duties of the heart, like believing in Hashem and affirming his oneness and loving Hashem, those mitzvahs are also physical. How are they physical? Because those mitzvahs have to be felt in the physical flesh of the heart and mind. For example, mitzvah of loving Hashem. That mitzvah is supposed to be done that's in a way that you physically feel something in your body. You feel changed. You feel some love for Hashem in your heart. It's not just that you're supposed to try to love Hashem. The mitzvah is you should feel a love for Hashem. That's a mitzvah. Baal Shem Tov actually said the mitzvah isn't to feel, the mitzvah is to think, because you can't control your heart. But how do you know you're doing the mitzvah properly if it reaches your heart? If it touches your heart, then you know that you've thought the right way, you've prepared for davening the right way. But the mitzvah of loving Hashem is just like the mitzvah of tefillin. You feel the weight of the tefillin on your head, and you feel the tefillin on your bicep. The mitzvah of loving Hashem has a physical expression. The mitzvah is either done or it's not done. During the day, although this is a mitzvah that's supposed to be done all the time, but during the day we're supposed to prepare all day to get to the Shema. All davening is preparation to get the Shema. What's Shema about? Shema is about reaching the Ahavta, reaching about love for Hashem. So, just like when a person hears good news.
Rabbi, you gotta mute. You gotta mute everybody. People are unmuted.
Thank you. Okay. So just like this, Gemara says a famous story about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai went to beseech a Roman general on behalf of the Jewish people. And he tells the Roman general, Your Majesty, my emperor, I need to ask you for something. So he says, why are you calling me an emperor? You deserve to die twice. You deserve to die, first of all, because I'm not the emperor. And second of all, if I am the emperor, where were you till now? So the Gemara says that he just then was discovered, Vespasian was just informed that he was appointed emperor of Rome. And the Gemara says that once he heard this good news, he was unable to take off his shoe. Why couldn't he take off his shoe? Because the good news that he had just become emperor of Rome had a physical effect on his body that made his physical body fatter. So he couldn't take his shoes off. And the Gemara said, what did he do in order to be able to take off his shoes? So he asked Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, how to get these shoes off? Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, have one of your enemies come before you. You'll feel terrible. And he did, and the enemy comes before him, he took off his shoes. So we see that our feelings affect our bodies. So to the mitzvah loving Hashem, so to the mitzvah loving Hashem, what's the mitzvah? The mitzvah is supposed to be done in a way that you actually feel in your heart it's good to be close to Hashem. The Frierdiker Rebbe describes how a person has all kinds of tzaras, all kinds of problems, all kinds of things they're worried about. They have no idea how to extricate themselves from these worries. And then in the middle of all this, suddenly they see, there's Yonatan Hamburger. Geschmack, Yonatan. Yonatan, shortly he discovered he doesn't have the answer to your problem. Doesn't know the answer, and the truth is, even when you met Yonatan, you know he doesn't have the answer. He's not always the answer guy. However, the very fact that you see a good friend, says the Frierdiker Rebbe, that already makes you have the confidence you'll be able to leave your problem. That's the meaning of love. That's what Frierdiker Rebbe says. The meaning of loving Hashem means you just feel a strong, palpable feeling that actually puts you out of where you were before. Just this morning, I don't know if I messed on my computer or not. I couldn't hear this morning, but I went to the mikvah and I came back. I couldn't find my computer. I thought I lost it, and I was feeling ay. And then all of a sudden, I just went in the car. I put it on the side, and the car turned and went between the door and the seat. Anyways, the point is that there's a physical change in how you feel when you lost the computer. You find the computer.
If Manchester is listening, I think you should send an extra computer to Rabbi Levin.
I'm sure it's fine. So the point is that the mitzvah of loving Hashem is supposed to change how you feel. When you speak to the Eibishter, you're supposed to go, I'm able to talk to the Eibishter. It's supposed to feel great. Wow, I can talk to Hashem. I love Hashem. That's how it's supposed to be. That's a mitzvah loving Hashem. So to the mitzvah fearing Hashem. It's not just meant, this mitzvah of fearing Hashem, reverence for Hashem, it's supposed to be in a way that's physical, that your heart and mind feel this reverence for Hashem. The Rebbe mentions love first. Interesting how the Rebbe, in many talks, says that the mitzvah of loving Hashem is a source of all mitzvahs, which is interesting because in Tanya, chapter 41, the Alter Rebbe highlights that the source of all mitzvahs is fear. Chapter 41, the Alter Rebbe says how, although he says in chapter 4 that love of Hashem is a source of all mitzvahs, all positive mitzvahs, and fear of Hashem is a source of all negative mitzvahs, because you love Hashem, the Alter Rebbe says, that will make you be animated when you perform a mitzvah. And because you fear Hashem, that will make you hold back from doing the wrong thing. But in chapter 41, he says, but the truth is that even a mitzvah, which is not done with a sense of obedience, I'm doing what Hashem wants me to do, the sense that this is what Hashem wants, you're nullifying your will, do what Hashem wants you to do. Without that feeling of doing what Hashem wants, you're missing the kedusha of the mitzvah. As the Alter Rebbe says, that it's like the Zohar says, like a ox, you have to put the yoke on the ox first, then the ox will bring benefit to the world. So the Alter Rebbe says, without having the yoke of Hashem upon you, your mitzvahs don't contain kedusha. So it seems the Alter Rebbe says clearly that fear of Hashem is the source of all mitzvahs. I'm sorry, yeah, but the Rebbe says like this: since in chapter 4, the Rebbe doesn't ask this as a question or answer. Just saying this is the way the Alter Rebbe presented all of mitzvahs, and this is how the Rebbe presents all of mitzvahs. The Rebbe says, since one of the positive mitzvahs is to fear Hashem, so it comes out that if you love Hashem, you'll end up doing all the mitzvahs. Why? Because you love Hashem, you want to do all the mitzvahs. One of the mitzvahs is to fear Hashem, and fearing Hashem is the source of all negative mitzvahs. So it comes out that if you love Hashem, that's the foundation of all mitzvahs. So it's not really an argument. It's what you need to hear. What time of your life you need to hear it. I saw a video of a guy coming before the Rebbe. He wants a blessing for love of Hashem and fear of Hashem. The Rebbe tells him, work on love of Hashem first. And it's interesting because in chapter 43, 44 in Tanya, Alter Rebbe says, you can't love Hashem first. You have to first fear Him. That's what you need. You need that step first. Only in unusual situations are you able to achieve at love of Hashem before fear of Hashem. But apparently there are different madregas, different levels, and different times when things have to be focused on. And the Rebbe clearly says that our generation, this person at least, I don't know if there was in our generation at all, but in sichos and public talks, Rebbe speaks about how love Hashem is the first step. In this talk as well, Rebbe speaks about love first. I want to also mention before I forget that just like the Alter Rebbe says that you don't have kedusha in your mitzvahs, you're missing kedusha. Missing the holiness of the mitzvahs if not done with a sense of obedience. There's a Maimer of the Rebbe Chayei Sarah this week, where the Rebbe says that if you don't have simcha in your mitzvahs, there's no revelation. So the obedience is necessary for the presence of Hashem's holiness, but for that to be revealed, that to be accessible and tangible, you feel Hashem's presence in your mitzvahs, for it to make an impact on the world, you have to have simcha. Simcha is the only thing that will cause a mitzvah to be luminous. You'd have simcha in mitzvah. Okay. In every concept that our Rebbeim instructed us to do, they were a living example of what they told us to do. There's a story of the Alter Rebbe. It was either Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. He was up to the words in davening. When we say in davening, let your fear be upon all your creatures. What did the Alter Rebbe do? Heichles goel la'aretz tichli amiris pach pach pei psucha. The Alter Rebbe started to roll on the floor. He was so frightened he couldn't finish the word pachtacha. He was saying pach pach pach, and only after a while was he able to finally come. I don't know. He's finally able to finish the word pachtacha. He was so in fear of Hashem. There's a similar story to Tzemach Tzedek. Tzemach Tzedek once, in his first years of leadership, he once was sitting with the Chassidim. There was mashka on the table. That Tzemach Tzedek drank one cup, a second cup, and then he asked for a third cup. Then he went like this. He put his hand over his forehead, and the vodka was no longer apparent that it had any effect on him whatsoever. A similar thing happened by the Rebbe. The Rebbe was bringing during the time of the previous Rebbe's lifetime in this world, and the previous Rebbe sent someone to call the Rebbe in the middle of the Farbrengen, And that for bringing the Rebbe taking a lot of mashka. It's exactly the same thing. Like this, they stood up and never walked like straight, like as if nothing happened with to the Frierdiker Rebbe. I don't know what the idea of the forehead thing is, but either way, it indicates that with fear of Hashem, the Gemara says, oh, next paragraph. Here's what Tzemach Tzedek, Hashem is bein, Vidul Shem Nafla Pach Norav. Tzemach Tzedek explained that he thought about the greatness of Hashem, and he had tremendous fear of Hashem. Yain Koshem Pach Mefig, the Gemara says that hard wine is alleviated, is the effect of the wine is removed by fear. So because Tzemach Tzedek thought about the greatness of Hashem and he felt a fear of Hashem, he no longer was affected by the wine. His fear of Hashem affected his physical body. He felt it so strongly that there was no effect of the wine on him at all. So too, there's an example of how love of Hashem affects the physical body. We know in the Hayom Yom how it says that the Nachum and Chernobyl became physically fat because he said Yesh Me'Rabba. Those are vayus from Uvorach La'ol Ma'ol Me'al Maya. When he thought about God's greatness, how God's greatness extends La'olam Ol Me'al Maya through all the worlds, even this physical world, Hashem's greatness is here present in this world, that aroused him with love and pleasure of godliness, so much so that made him physically fat because of his incredible love for Hashem. It changed his physical body. It's another story that the Rebbe mentioned that happened in our generation. The Rebbe said that you may think these kind of stories only of previous generations. The Rebbe said this, I want to tell you a story, another talk about the Moshe Rebbe. Moshe Rebbe famously wanted to do an operation, but there was no anesthesia. So the doctor told him that, this is going to hurt. So the Moshe Rebbe said, I'm going to sing a niggin. When I get into the niggin, that's when you should perform the operation. There's a very, very long Moshe niggin. He composed that niggin then when he was in the being operated on. He sang the niggin throughout the entire operation without any pain at all. So the point is that the Baal Shem Tov says, you see the donkey hates the neshama. You see that the body rebels against the burden of Torah mitzvahs, and therefore you may think that you're supposed to hurt the body. So the Torah says, on the contrary, Hashem gave us the body, and the body is the object with which you perform all the mitzvahs of Hashem. You can't love Hashem properly; it doesn't affect your physical body. If your neshama is loving Hashem, you don't feel in your body, you're not doing the mitzvah yet. The mitzvah is that you feel differently. You feel differently. You feel a love for Hashem. All right, that's what we're going to do today. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. And Mr. Manchester, don't worry. I'm sure the computer's okay. We'll be able to figure it out for tomorrow. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Great day, Yonatan. Great day, Aryeh. Great day, Dr. Bressman. Great day, Michal Mordechai, Reb Zev, and David. Litrot.
Amen. Thank you.